Thanks for staying with us. This morning we'll be discussing the Nigeria Deposit Insurance Corporation. When you recall, it's a ministry, it's actually a parastatal under the Ministry of Finance, tasked with protecting the banking system from all sort of instability occasioned by runs and loss of depositors' confidence in the system. Joining us on the show right now is to discuss the details of the newly signed Nigeria Deposit Insurance Corporation Act 2023 is the board chairman of Nigeria Deposit Insurance Corporation, Honorable Abdulhakeem Abdullateef. Welcome to the show, sir.
Thank you so much.
It's good to have you. So 48 hours before the former president left, he was actually able to sign on the act. And this has garnered quite a bit of controversies. Could you tell us a bit of why so many people are really interested in this issue of the NDIC Act?
Thank you so much. It has led to a lot of controversies. One, because Buhari signed this act without reading it.
Okay.
They deliberately made it 48 hours before he left because they knew that a president who is handing over has a lot to do, you know, and they knew that he had said that I cannot wait to leave. So they took this bulky document to him to sign. The second fraud.
Okay, before we go into the fraud,
Yeah.
let's start with what is NDIC. Let's people don't even understand what it was created for and why this was an important document.
Okay, Nigerian Deposit Insurance Corporation is meant to be an independent agency. Mark the word independent. Because the government wants to ensure that the deposit paid by Nigerians into banks are never endangered by the conspiracies of either the central bank or the deposit money banks.
Okay.
To ensure that whatever misbehavior is being displayed does not affect Nigerians. Eventually, if the banks fail, the NDIC is there. One, the first mandate of NDIC is to guarantee the deposit paid.
Okay.
And tell all Nigerians, relax. If they are misbehaving, it won't touch you.
Okay.
The second is to ensure that prevention is better than cure. NDIC should always visit the banks and look into their books and ensure that the way they are operating these banks does not eventually endanger the depositors. So that's why you see NDIC inspecting banks. The third aspect is that if eventually the central bank declares a bank as a failed bank, the NDIC goes into the bank to begin to make depositors happy. Mark my words. I'm using the layman's language.
Yeah.
Depositors come. How much have you paid? We're going to pay you your money now. Relax. So, the first, for example, if you pay, whatever you pay, if it is up to 100,000 or 200,000, they give you your entire money.
Yeah.
But those who pay more than that, in respect of microfinance, they give them 200,000. And say, we know you pay more than that. By the time we recover the debt, this bank is owed, we are going to balance you. Then those who are in commercial banks, we pay them 500,000. And say, even if the bank is owing 15 million, relax. We will run after the debtors and collect it. And the fourth role of the NDIC is to now liquidate the banks, you know, sell the assets, and return the dividends to the shareholders and the creditors. You know what they have done? With this act, the first, I told you Mr. President did not read.
The former.
We have to be, the former president.
Yeah, sure.
We have to be fair to him. He did not read. No reasonable person who does not want fire to burn him inside the grave will sign this act. Number two, when I was appointed, I wrote an acceptance letter that went viral. I said, I am not celebrating. And I said, do not congratulate me until I have left NDIC better than I met it. The moment they knew that we were appointed, they introduced a new bill to the National Assembly.
Who are they?
You will get to know them.
Very soon.
So, because I was interested, I'm a lawyer of over 30 years at the bar. I've been a lawmaker at the House of Assembly. And I know that it is the law that is passed that I have to implement. There's a difference between the law as it is and the law as it ought to be. I know we were appointed under the NDIC Act 2006, which guarantees the independence of NDIC. So I was interested, so I went to the National Assembly. I sat anytime they wanted to discuss this bill. Until this bill was passed, there was no Section 7 that replaced the old Section 7. The old Section 7 says, Mr. President shall be free to appoint anyone that he feels competent to be the chairman. And Mr. President shall be free to appoint one representative of the 6 geopolitical zones to monitor NDIC. And the Federal Ministry of Finance, being one of the shareholders of NDIC, shall select one director to represent the federal government in the board. Do you know what Emefiele has done? And I'm bold to say this. Emefiele and his cohorts in the NDIC, they decided to remove the power of Mr. President to appoint competent Nigerians. They now say, in the new act, which I said was not part, the reason I said it was not part of what was discussed at the National Assembly, I have a copy of what the National Assembly passed in their vote and proceedings.
Wow.
I'm a lawyer.
It's different from what
It's different from what they took to the president.
Is that legal?
Illegal.
How is it possible?
The vote and
How-
proceedings.
how is it possible?
Yes, the vote and proceedings is the official. You say, the current president wants to fight corruption, and corruption will fight back, and every one of us in every agency must stand with the president. Now, look, the way they do it is this. When they know that what they are bringing is fraudulent, they will not present it before the National Assembly.
To look through.
Because let me tell you, we are just saying Nigeria is bad. There are so many men of integrity in the National Assembly. They will not set their conscience. No National Assembly member will watch you remove their power to appoint competent people in the 6 geopolitical zones.
So what was
and remove them.
So what's the clause now?
what was it?
That one.
In the new acts, they fraudulently made the permanent secretary, Federal Ministry of Finance, as the chairman. Watch. You listen. I've never heard it in my life that a PS will go ahead. It's like saying a minister should go and head National Assembly. I went to the PS. PS, do you know about it? PS says, I swear by my God, I know nothing about this. He said when it was suggested to me, I told them several times, I am too busy as a permanent secretary to be pretending over NDIC. I have too many things. He told me that day that as I sit here, 36 commissioners of states for finance are waiting for me. They know that I will not have time to pretend over it so that they can be doing all the rubbish they want.
So these are
So let me explain. I've not finished what is there.
Okay.
The new composition now says Mr. President cannot appoint managing director or executive director except the people recommended by Emefiele.
No, CBN governor.
Yeah, I know what I'm saying now. You understand? They put CBN governor there because they think they will be there forever. They say, because you cannot restrict Mr. President. Mr. President must be free to appoint competent economists, competent accountants, irrespective of whatever.
So, let me ask you, has this sort of anomaly happened before?
It has never.
Okay, so what do you think is the solution to correct it?
Yes, so I'm going to the solution. You understand? Let me finish the composition of the board. You have not heard, though. You have not heard
all
anything.
the controversies. The second one.
They have also killed the morale. They have killed the career progression of the 1,600 staff working in NDIC. You know, when you are working as a teacher, your plan is one day I will become principal. They are now saying that any staff of NDIC can never become executive director, can never become managing director, because it is an agency outside NDIC that can recommend, which is the central bank. And we said NDIC is an independent agency. There's a lot of protest in NDIC now. The staff, they have been demoralized, they have been demotivated, because even stylishly, the current executive directors, they have removed them, according to them, because those ones were freely appointed by the president before. But now it has to be under the recommendation of CBN. They have also, in this new act, removed the representative of Ministry of Finance.
Okay, I
We
have
used
to
to
go on
be.
I have to go on a break because these are really interesting and strong allegations, and I know that.
allegation.
But let's go on a break. When we come back, we'll continue this conversation. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Thanks for staying with us. We still have our guest with us. Mariam had a question before the break, or?
No, he was going to.
I wanted to. I was
about
going to let you
allegations.
continue about all what you've been saying because I know that you reached out to us because you wanted to be here this morning, and so far I've heard quite a few of the allegations you put up. As BC said earlier, what exactly do you hope to achieve by this engagement?
Okay. First and foremost is to enable the NDIC discharge on its mandate. I told you that the mandate of the NDIC is to protect depositors. With this new act, NDIC will no longer be able to protect depositors. One, NDIC is established as independent so that NDIC would not be disturbed by the CBN. Will not be disturbed. But now they have introduced 35 new sections under which NDIC now needs to go and seek approval of CBN before it can discharge its duties.
Wow.
So then you will now see that even to go to banks to go and inspect their books, they said central bank must approve.
You can't monitor
So
them.
you have taken away the independence of the NDIC.
Yeah.
They put there with the concurrence of central bank. Why? I want to inspect and ensure that the central bank itself has not conspired with other bank directors, to endanger my depositors. But I can no longer do it. It is even there that when I discovered that I need to pay this depositor because this bank has failed to pay the depositor, it says I should go to central bank and get approval before I can pay that
Who
depositor.
funds NDIC? How do you fund? I mean,
So
there's
I'm
many
wondering
questions.
that, you see, the real worry for me is, though you've pointed fingers towards the former governor, the suspended governor of the CBN, Emefiele, to be the one behind this change, officially, who put this document together? And who were the ones that took it to the president to have it signed?
You see, what concerns the ordinary citizen, because I am an ordinary citizen.
Yeah, not an ordinary citizen.
Yes, because what concerns me is that the National Assembly is the apex law-making institution in Nigeria. If the National Assembly accepts a bill, it means that that bill is either an executive bill from the Federal Executive Council, or it is a legislative bill sponsored by a legislator, which is a private member bill. Even the judiciary can sponsor bill. As an NGO, TVC can sponsor bill. So the National Assembly will now go through the bill, first reading, second reading, third reading, committee stage, public hearing, and everything. Now, what makes the National Assembly is a bicameral legislature. So it is the Senate and the House of Representatives. Once the Senate passes the law, it will now take it to the House of Representatives to have concurrence of the two houses. If there's any section that is materially different from what was passed to them, they will convey a conference of the two houses. Members of this house will sit with members of this house. They will iron out the differences, and then the clean copy will now be forwarded to Mr. President.
Okay.
I monitored the process when it was passed by the Senate. This is their vote and proceedings. It does not contain all this I have mentioned here. Now, I monitored that of House of Representatives. They concurred with the Senate. There was never a time there was any material difference in what they did, which means we expected that this is what will be taken to the president. But along the line, on the way to Asorok, new sections were introduced by people who are not members of the National Assembly. In law, if the president signs an act that is different from what was passed, that act is inchoate. Inchoate means there is a material omission of what ought to have been done, and that act is null and void. Because Mr. President alone cannot make acts. Act must be the concurrence of the two houses. So that's why I said, do you know why they did not introduce that section to National Assembly?
Why?
Because they know the senators are reasonable people. They will never allow you to be a judge in your own cause. Why will you not have somebody to monitor you? Why will you remove the representative of the 6th geopolitical zone, who are representatives of the people of Nigeria, from monitoring you? Why will I say you should monitor
I have a
yourself?
question, sir. So I think this is a criminal act, if you ask me.
A crime has been committed.
Yeah. So who are we chasing right now? From the point he left the 2 houses to be presented to the
That's the
president.
question I asked
Yes.
you.
Who in between? Who is responsible, and who can we hold responsible for this?
President Bola Ahmed Tinubu will tell us who to investigate. He's the president. He's in charge. They are fighting him back. With this type of law, he cannot achieve his goal. Because depositors will be crying, and they will think it is the president who is denying them their happiness.
Okay, so apart from you now, I would be expecting to hear from the House of the National Assembly.
Yes,
if
to
they
corroborate
took,
that we
yes,
did
that
not
what
get.
they had sat on is different from what has been signed.
I have
or else it
senators,
will come across as you
yes.
trying to protect your own seat because you've noticed that the new act sort of takes you out, of your seat. Could that be? That's some people will be sitting there and saying it's because the board chairmanship is no longer under the purview of the president. The CBN governor would have to bring in would determine who becomes board chairman, and you feel that that may affect your seat right now. So we need to also hear from the senators and House of Reps if what you have just alleged is true.
You want me to respond to that?
Yes, please.
Nothing has affected my seat. I am sitting as comfortably as I am now. That's the way I'm sitting in NDIC. Let me tell you. When a law is passed, repealing an old law, there is a section called savings. And under what Buhari signed is in section 98. It says everything done under the old act remains valid. I was appointed under the old act, validly by Mr. President. On the 9th of May, the Senate validly confirmed my appointment. At that point, the exercise is completed because our appointment is based on Senate confirmation. Even the current MD and the EDs, they were appointed under the old law and confirmed under the old law. So if you look at section 6.1 of the Interpretation Act, it says when a new bill becomes an act of Parliament, nothing in the old act will be rendered invalid on account of that. You understand? So this new act only affect future development. I am saying it today because tomorrow, Mr. President has the prerogative. He may dissolve the entire board of all boards. You understand? So, but any board coming in will not be able to achieve anything. And also, Mr. President, we are going to call on Mr. President never to act on the new act. He should order immediately an investigation and a repeal of that act and allow members of the National Assembly to now sit section by section and act. We said NDIC is independent. Have we not taken their independence with these new 35 sections? Can they now properly protect the deposit of Nigerians when we say they should always go and seek the permission and approval of the governor of Central Bank? Have we not tied the hands of Mr. President from appointing competent people as MDs when we say only the people recommended by the CBN governor they are those that the president can appoint? Have we not killed the career of all the workers in NDIC by saying that they can never have career progression to the level of executive director and managing director?
Okay, I think we can end with that. Thank you so much, sir, for sharing your thoughts. As I said, this is a sponsored segment, and I know you wanted this portion of the show to be able to express your views on this. Thank you so much for coming on the show.